Be me, 46, principal backend engineer at social media startup. Clearing $245,000, keeping infrastructure running for millions of users. 21 years building distributed systems. Last 8 here at Connect Hub. We're headquartered in New York, Flatiron District. Social networking app. Think Twitter meets Instagram. 12 million people use our platform daily. Posting updates, sharing photos, messaging friends. Our API handles 4 billion requests per day. That's about 46,000 requests per second during peak hours. November 2025, company hires new VP of Backend Engineering. Kristen, she's 38, came from consumer apps at a big tech company. Worked on user-facing features, knows product development. Less experience with infrastructure, scalability, security. First engineering all hands. She's got her priorities ready. Our API response times are slower than industry benchmarks. Average 240 milliseconds. Competitors are at 180 milliseconds. Need to eliminate bottlenecks, improve user experience. Sitting in that meeting, I'm thinking, yeah, speed matters. But stability matters more, especially at our scale. 6 weeks from now, she'll disable our rate limiting. Thinks it's slowing down legitimate traffic. Weekend hits. Botnet operators notice the open API. Launch DDoS attack with 18 million requests per second. Platform goes down for 72 hours. 12 million users can't access anything. $320 million evaporates. Company nearly dies. Let me walk you through how optimizing for speed killed everything. November 2025, Connect Hub backend before Kristen arrives. Infrastructure team is 19 people, solid engineers. Mix of backend, DevOps, database specialists. I'm principal engineer, designed most of our core architecture. Been through 3 major scaling events, know what breaks. Report to VP of Backend Engineering, that's Kristen now. Our stack is pretty standard for social media. PostgreSQL for relational data. Redis for caching and real-time features. Elasticsearch for search. S3 for media storage. Everything fronted by API gateway with rate limiting. Rate limiting is crucial, protects against abuse. Limits how many requests single user can make per minute. Prevents bots from overwhelming the system. Prevents malicious actors from scraping all our data. Our limits are reasonable, based on actual usage patterns. Regular users, 1,000 requests per hour. Power users, 5,000 requests per hour. Third-party apps, 10,000 requests per hour with API key. 99.7% of legitimate traffic stays under these limits. Only bots and scrapers hit the caps. We also have burst limits, peak protection. No single IP can make more than 100 requests per second. That's still generous for human usage, but stops automated attacks from spiking our load. Previous VP of Backend, guy named Douglas, he was 54, came up through infrastructure at financial companies. His philosophy was defensive, plan for the worst. Internet is hostile. Protect everything. Under Douglas, we had 0 successful DDoS attacks. Couple attempts, sure, but rate limiting blocked them. System stayed stable. Users stayed happy. Kristen spends her first month reviewing everything. Performance metrics, database queries, API endpoints. Week 5, calls meeting with backend leads. Me plus 4 others, with the technical decision makers. She's prepared slides, performance optimization initiative. First slide shows our API latency distribution. Median, 180 milliseconds, 95th percentile. 450 milliseconds, 99th percentile. 1,200 milliseconds. Kristen, 95th percentile is too high. Almost half a second. Users notice that delay. One of the other principals, guy named Blake, he's 44, points out, 95th percentile includes rate-limited requests. Those get queued, naturally take longer. Kristen, exactly my point. Rate limiting adds latency. I jump in. Rate limiting protects the system. Without it, one bad actor could take down the whole platform. Kristen, how often does that actually happen? I pull up metrics. We block about 2 million requests daily. Mostly bots, scrapers, automated abuse. Kristen, 2 million out of 4 billion is 0.05%. We're adding latency for everyone to stop 0.05% of traffic. Another principal, woman named Denise, she's 43. She sees where this is going. That 0.05% will become 50% without limits. Bots don't stop when they hit caps, they just scale back. Remove caps, they'll flood the system. Kristen, that's assuming we can't handle higher load. What if we just scaled infrastructure to handle it? Blake, that's economically insane. Would need 20x current capacity to absorb unlimited bot traffic. Kristen, I'm not saying completely unlimited. Just remove the artificial barriers for legitimate users. Meeting ends without decisions made. But direction is clear. Kristen thinks rate limiting is overhead. Later, Blake catches me in the hallway. She doesn't get infrastructure security, does she? I shake my head. Product mindset, everything's about user experience. Doesn't understand that protection is user experience. Platform that's down doesn't have great UX. Denise walks up. Should we escalate to CTO? I think about it. Not yet. Let's see what she actually proposes. Maybe she's just exploring, won't actually change anything. Early December, Kristen presents her optimization plan. CTO is in this meeting, plus all backend team. Phase 1. Increase rate limits by 3x. Give users more headroom. Reduce throttling. Phase 2. Implement smarter rate limiting. Distinguish humans from bots using behavior analysis. Phase 3. Remove burst protection. Trust our infrastructure to handle traffic spikes. On first read, sounds almost reasonable. Higher limits might be okay if we're too conservative. Smarter detection is good in theory. But Phase 3? Red flags everywhere. I raise my hand. Removing burst protection is dangerous. That's our defense against DDoS attacks. Kristen, DDoS attacks are rare, and we have other defenses. Cloudflare sits in front of us. They handle DDoS. Blake, Cloudflare handles network layer DDoS. Application layer attacks hit our API directly. Burst limits are what stop those. Kristen, how many application layer DDoS attempts have we seen? I check historical data, 6 in the last year. All successfully mitigated by burst limits. Kristen, 6 attempts, 0 successful. Maybe we're overprotected. Denise, or maybe protection is working exactly as designed. CTO, guy named Aaron, he's 49. He's been quiet listening to both sides. Finally speaks. What's the risk if we get this wrong? I'm direct. If we remove burst limits and get hit with DDoS, platform goes down completely. Could be hours or days to recover. Kristen counters. That's worst case catastrophizing. More likely scenario. Performance improves. Users are happier. Aaron makes a call. Let's do Phase 1 and 2 first. Prove smarter rate limiting works. Then we can revisit Phase 3. Kristen nods. Fair enough. Mid-December, Phase 1 rolls out. Rate limits increased from 1,000/hour to 3,000/hour. Power users from 5,000 to 15,000. First few days, everything seems fine. Actually, API latency improves slightly. Fewer requests getting throttled. Kristen sends email. See? Users need more headroom, but I'm watching different metrics. Bot traffic is up 40%. Scrapers noticed the higher limits, adjusted their patterns. Still getting capped eventually, but pulling more data first. I flagged this in engineering Slack. Bot traffic increasing. Higher limits, giving them more runway before we block them. Kristen responds. That's what Phase 2 addresses. Behavior analysis will catch them earlier. Phase 2 development starts. Machine learning model to detect bot behavior. Look at request patterns, timing, endpoints accessed. Sounds good in theory. In practice, takes months to train and validate. Can't deploy ML model without extensive testing. False positives would block real users. False negatives would let bots through. December 28th, I check on Phase 2 progress. Engineer working on it. Guy named Shane, he's 37. Ask him, when's the bot detection model ready? Shane, realistically? March or April. Need more training data. Model isn't accurate yet. That's 3 months away minimum. I bring this up with Kristen. Phase 2 won't be ready for months. Should we roll back Phase 1 while we wait? Kristen, Phase 1 is working fine. No need to roll back successful changes. I show her the bot traffic increase. 40% more bot requests. Kristen, but platform is handling it fine, right? Technically, yes. Infrastructure is stable. But we're serving bots instead of shutting them down. Waste of resources, but not catastrophic. Yet, early January 2026, Kristen revives Phase 3 discussion. Sends proposal to engineering leadership. Remove burst limits to eliminate last source of artificial latency. I respond immediately, strong oppose. Burst limits are DDoS protection, not performance bottleneck. Blake backs me up. This is our last line of defense. Remove it, and we're exposed to application layer attacks. Denise, at minimum, wait until Phase 2 is deployed. Need bot detection before removing burst protection. Kristen, Phase 2 is months away. Users are suffering latency now. I check metrics. 99 percentile latency is down to 800 milliseconds from 1,200 milliseconds. Already improved 33% from Phase 1. Kristen, could improve more without burst limits. I try different angle. What problem are we solving? Who's actually hitting burst limits legitimately? Kristen pulls up examples. Power users during live events. They're posting rapidly, hitting 100 REQ/SEC cap. I look at the data. That's 14 users total last month. 14 users out of 12 million. Kristen, those are our most engaged users. We should support them. Blake, we can whitelist specific power users. Give them higher burst limits individually. Safer than removing limits for everyone. Kristen doesn't like that. Whitelist doesn't scale. Manual process creates tier system. Aaron, the CTO, asks for risk assessment. I put together analysis. Removing burst limits exposes API to unlimited request spikes. Single source could send millions of requests in seconds. Infrastructure would collapse under that load. Kristen submits counter-analysis. Burst limits only affect 0.001% of traffic. Cost-benefit favors removal. Aaron side with Kristen. Let's try it. We can monitor closely, roll back if issues appear. I make one last attempt. Weekend is coming. Can we at least wait until Monday? Deploy during business hours when team is available. Kristen, weekends are lower traffic, safer for changes. Let's deploy Friday evening. January 10th, Friday, 6 p.m. Burst limit removal deploys to production. I'm watching metrics from home, ready to respond. First hour, everything looks normal. Traffic patterns unchanged. Latency actually drops a bit. Kristen was right about that. 8 p.m., still stable. Maybe I was wrong to worry. Maybe infrastructure can handle it fine. 10 p.m., I go to bed. Leave laptop open, Slack notifications on. Wake up 2:47 a.m. to phone buzzing. Incident channel exploding with alerts. API error rate spiking. Database connections saturated. Redis CPU at 100%. I hop on laptop immediately. Check dashboards, it's bad. Request rate, 18 million per second. Normal peak is 46,000 per second. This is 400x normal traffic. Classic DDoS attack, application layer. Someone flooding our API with requests. Without burst limits, nothing stopping them. I join Incident Bridge, other engineers already there. Blake, this is massive DDoS hitting all endpoints. Denise, database is melting, can't keep up with queries. Shane, Redis is out of memory, started evicting cache. I check request sources. Traffic from 40,000 plus IP addresses. Definitely a botnet, distributed attack. Blake, need to re-enable burst limits immediately. I pull up deployment controls. Try to roll back the change. Deployment system won't respond, too much load. Can't even access production servers. They're so overwhelmed with traffic, SSH won't connect. This is nightmare scenario. Under DDoS attack and can't access systems to defend. 3:15 a.m. Platform goes completely offline. API stops responding entirely. Database connections maxed out, refusing new connections. Redis crashed from memory exhaustion. Load balancers hit their connection limits. Everything cascading into failure. 12 million users trying to access Connect Hub, getting error messages or infinite loading screens. 3:30 a.m. I call Kristen. She answers groggy. What's happening? I explain, DDoS attack, 18 million requests per second. Platform is completely down. Can't roll back burst limit change. Systems 2 overloaded. Kristen, how do they even know we removed limits? I explain, attackers constantly probe platforms. Test for weaknesses, exploit what they find. We removed defense Friday evening. They noticed and launched attack Friday night. Kristen, what do we do? I'm already working it. Need to block at network edge. Cloudflare can rate limit, but need to configure it. Kristen, I thought Cloudflare was already protecting us. I explain, network level DDoS, yes. Application level attacks. We handle ourselves normally, but we disabled our own protection. Spend next 2 hours configuring Cloudflare rate limits. Basically re-implementing what we removed from our own API, but doing it externally at CDN layer. 5:45 a.m., Cloudflare limits go live. Attack traffic starts getting blocked at the edge. Our servers slowly recover. Database connections drain, Redis restarts. 6:20 a.m., API starts responding again. But performance is terrible. Everything's degraded. Database is recovering from saturation. Caches are empty. Everything's a cold start. Takes until 8 a.m. for platform to stabilize. 5 hours total outage, Saturday morning. Not our busiest time, but still millions of users affected. I send incident summary to leadership. DDoS attack exploited removal of burst limits. Platform down for 5 hours. Mitigated by implementing external rate limiting. Kristen responds, good work on the recovery. That's it. No acknowledgement this was preventable. No mention that I warned exactly this would happen. Saturday afternoon, I review attack logs. Botnet came from 43,000 compromised devices. IoT cameras, routers, infected computers. Coordinated attack, professionally operated. They ramped up gradually, testing our limits. Started at 100,000 REQ/SEC. No response from us. Increased to 1 million REQ/SEC. Still no blocking. Realized we had no burst protection. Ramped to full 18 million REQ/SEC. Completely overwhelmed us in minutes. This is what burst limits prevented. Would have blocked them at 100 REQ/SEC per IP. Attack would have failed at first probe. Instead, they found an open door and walked through. Sunday, I write up post-incident analysis. Timeline, attack vectors, mitigation steps. Recommendations. Re-enable application-level rate limiting. Cloudflare helps, but shouldn't be only defense. Need layer protection, defense in depth. Send to Kristen, copying Aaron and Blake. Kristen schedules Monday meeting to discuss. Monday morning, incident review. Whole backend team, plus CTO and some VPs. I present what happened, walk through timeline. Show how attack exploited missing burst limits. Aaron asks, could we have prevented this? I'm diplomatic. Yes, burst limits would have blocked it. Aaron looks at Kristen. Why were burst limits removed? Kristen explains her reasoning again, trying to improve performance for power users. Didn't anticipate this level of coordinated attack. Blake can't stay quiet. We warned exactly this would happen. This wasn't unpredictable. We predicted it. Kristen gets defensive. It's easy to say that in hindsight. I pull up my emails from December, not hindsight. Sent this analysis before deployment. Predicted DDoS vulnerability if limits were removed. Aaron reviews my email. Timestamp shows December 28th. 2 weeks before the attack. Clear warning, specific risk, ignored. Aaron makes decision. Re-enable burst limits immediately. Kristen, But we have Cloudflare rate limiting now. Aaron, defense in depth, like he said. Multiple layers of protection. Kristen reluctantly agrees. January 13th, burst limits re-enabled. Back to 100 REQ/SEC maximum per IP. Platform performance drops slightly. 99th percentile latency back up to 900 milliseconds from 800 milliseconds. But we're protected again. I'm watching metrics closely. Bot traffic patterns change immediately. Attackers probe again, hit burst limits, back off. They know we closed the vulnerability. January 15th, CFO sends company-wide email. Weekend outage cost analysis. 5-hour platform downtime January 11th. Estimated 2.4 million user sessions affected. Revenue impact, $8 million in lost. Advertising, plus brand damage, user trust. App Store reviews tanking. Connect Hub keeps crashing. Can't rely on it anymore. Competitors running ads. Tired of Connect Hub downtime? Switch to competitor for reliable service. We're bleeding users. January 20th, another attack. Different botnet, same tactics. Testing for burst limit vulnerabilities. This time limits hold. Attack blocked at 100 REQ/SEC per IP. Botnet can't generate enough distributed sources. Platform stays stable. Users don't notice. This is how it should work. But damage from first attack still spreading. User growth turned negative. Losing 50,000 users daily to competitor apps. Investors getting nervous. Stock price down 28% since the outage. January 25th, board calls emergency meeting. Review Q4 results and platform stability. CFO presents grim numbers. Lost 1.2 million users since January 11th outage. 10% of user base in 2 weeks. Revenue projections down 22% for Q1. Board asks how outage happened. Aaron explains, removed rate limiting for performance. Platform got hit with DDoS attack. Board member asks, who decided to remove rate limiting? Aaron, VP of Backend Engineering. Board member, was this decision reviewed? Aaron, engineering team raised concerns. Decision was made to proceed with monitoring. Board member, and monitoring didn't prevent 5-hour outage? Silence from Aaron. Board takes action. Kristen fired effective immediately. Aaron placed on performance improvement plan. Allowed high-risk change without adequate safeguards. Late January 2026, I'm interim VP of Backend. First priority, rebuild platform stability. Re-implement all the protections Kristen removed. Bring back conservative rate limiting. Add more monitoring, better alerting. Platform stabilizes, but users aren't coming back. Lost 1.8 million users total, 15% of base. Switched to Instagram, Twitter, other platforms. Hard to win them back once they've left. Revenue down 30%. Company worth half what it was. Connect Hub valued at $2.1 billion pre-outage. Now worth $900 million. Lost $1.2 billion in market cap. All from one 5-hour outage. Well, really from the decision to remove burst limits. Outage was just the consequence. Late January, no criminal charges against Kristen. Poor technical decision isn't usually criminal, but civil lawsuits starting. Investors suing for negligent management. Remove critical security controls without proper review. Caused massive company value destruction. Kristen's career in tech probably over though. Word spreads fast in industry. She's the VP who removed rate limiting and got DDoS'd. Nobody wants to hire someone with that on their record. Today, late January 2026. 10 weeks since Kristen started. 3 weeks since the outage. 2 weeks since she got fired. Connect Hub survived, but barely. Permanent interim VP now, making $280,000. Spent career building this platform. Watching it nearly die from one bad decision. 12 million users, well, 10.2 million now. 1.8 million left after we went down for 5 hours. Some came back, most didn't. Social media users are fickle. One bad experience, they're gone. Kristen's somewhere else now. Probably not in tech. Removed rate limiting to save 100 milliseconds. Thought protection was overhead. Thought we were over-engineered. Turned out protection was the only thing. Between normal operations and complete platform collapse. I think about that Friday deployment a lot. January 10th, 6 p.m. Burst limits removed. I was watching metrics, worried. Everything looked fine at first. 8 hours later, platform was dead. 18 million requests per second. From botnet that was just waiting for someone to open the door. And Kristen opened it. Removed the last defense. Because 14 power users, out of 12 million total, wanted to post faster during live events. So she disabled protection for everyone. And botnet noticed immediately. That's the thing about security. It's invisible when it works. Nothing happens. Nothing breaks. Easy to think it's unnecessary until you remove it. And everything falls apart in 2.47 minutes. From first attack spike to complete platform collapse. VP of Backend Engineering. Removed rate limiting. DDoS attack took down 12 million users. 472 hours. Well, 5 hours actually, but felt like 72. $320 million in damage. Between lost revenue, lost users, lost market cap, all to save 100 milliseconds of API latency. 414 people.